I was mucking around the other night. I think I was working on some of my hex crawl stuff, and I had put on one of Matt Colville's adventure streams on in the background. And it was just there in the background, was only half paying attention to it. But then he got to a point in the stream where he mentioned something, and I remember my ears pricked up. And he was talking about this meta currency in Draw Steel called Malice.
Malice is the heroic resource that the director gets. And you get Malice every round. And I think it's based on the number of heroes that are around or alive or whatever.
Malice seems to be a meta currency that I think he calls it a keeper. I'm not sure. The game master gets during a battle, and they can spend that Malice to engage different abilities that creatures or NPCs might have. Not that big of a deal. But what I thought was interesting was how he talks about Malice, what that says about their design philosophy and really combat specifically.
I sort of wonder if Malice might be the kind of mechanic that actually motivates people to get behind the screen, because they're players and they're watching the director cackle with glee when they read all the amazing Malice things they get. The game should be fun for the director the way it is fun for the players.
The idea that the game master should have fun the same way that players have fun, I find fascinating.
Fascinating is a word I use for the unexpected.
I think we often emphasize that, hey, if you're the game master, your fun is this sort of thing, whereas the player's fun is a different sort of thing. And of course, they're related. We're playing the same game, but that they're different, and that difference is good. Colville seems to be suggesting that no, the keeper's fun should be kind of the same as the player's fun, and therefore, if the player's fun in combat is generating their own currencies, and it seems like every class basically generates their own sort of currency, then the GM should also have fun in that combat generating their own currency. And as players are having fun unleashing their abilities, the GM has fun unleashing creature abilities.
And over the course of the battle the heroes are getting more and more resources as they play, and they're getting cooler, they're unlocking cooler and cooler stuff. But all I, as the director, have are goblins. The first couple of actions in the round were really cool, but then we start to diverge, and it starts to feel like, as the director, it felt more and more pointless. Like, well, I know what's going to happen now. Right? They're getting more and more dope stuff, and I'm just losing goblins.
I'm not going to say it's good or bad. If you're a player in combat and you want to generate resources, generating resources means doing stuff in combat. What is your aim? Your aim is going to be to push that combat as far as you can, because that's going to allow you to build up the most resources that you can. There might be elements in the game that offer a counterbalance that say, well, here are good reasons to stop early. I don't know. As a player, if I need a certain amount of points to ramp up some skill, that means that I'm going to need to be in this combat for that many turns, that many rounds, or I have to do as much stuff to get to awesome abilities, whatever they are. The impetus is going to be in combat to push that combat to the end. If I am the keeper or the GM or whatever they call the referee, and I get points in the same way, then my impetus is also to push that combat as far as it will go. Because the longer the combat goes, then the more of that Malice I'm building up. And then I can unleash these cool abilities that, as a keeper, I'm supposed to be looking forward to using, much like players are looking forward to using their cool abilities.
What happens is, yeah, you're killing my goblins. I only have 2 or 3 goblins left, but look at what they can do. Now all of this Malice is being poured into this one goblin, right? It starts off, there's 50 bad guys and you're killing, but when there's only one bad guy left, that bad guy is badass, right?
Well, what's the end result of this is that on both sides of the table, everyone wants combats to go the distance. Having played 4th edition, which I feel like Draw Steel gets a lot of inspiration from, over time, these drawn out combats that all go the distance are just not for me. I don't want to spend hours in every combat. A lot of advice that I've given over the years has been to really emphasize the opposite. End your combats quickly. Folks should make up their decisions. If you're the goblins and you see that you're outmatched, don't wait until the bitter end. Surrender, flee, do something. Just get out of there. End it fast. 2, 3, 4 rounds. Folks have a chance to do something, respond. Maybe there's some kind of twist or you're able to pull in something else. And then you pretty much have decided whether you're going to win or not, and then get out of that combat. But this setup in Draw Steel seems to suggest that is not at all what they're going for, and most likely what people are going to do, which is, I don't want to leave the combat. If I leave the combat, I'm leaving currency on the table. I want to pull it all together and spend it. I want to hit some big Nova attack, which means I got to wait. I got to wait for however many rounds I can build that up, because it's just very counter to the kind of approaches that I've taken. Now, I know that Draw Steel is going for very much cinematic, tactical combat. I think that they are definitely aiming for long combats, and I think they hope is, and I haven't played it, so I don't know, that those long combats will be worth it. There's enough exciting things you can do, enough interesting developments going on that you won't mind if you spend an hour or 2 hours in combat. But I know for me, that tends to not be the kind of gaming that I want to do on an everyday basis. But it's one thing when a long combat or a drawn out combat is the result of just different intersections of things. It's another thing to kind of hear that, no, this is kind of the intention. Now, he doesn't say, I want drawn out combats, but it's implied in that if I'm the GM and I want to have every less goblin counts. If I get down to 2 goblins, 1 goblin, I'm still in it to win it. And there is a little bit of an adversarial approach in there, which I haven't even really mentioned yet. This does feel like an adversarial approach where I am taking glee in having these great abilities that I can unleash on the players. But all that means I want to stick it out in combat as long as possible. Players are going to want to stick it out in combat as long as possible. Why am I going to roll a morale check or make an executive decision to cut bait early? I'm not going to. I'm going to want to stick it out. I'm not trying to make a point about it or shake my fingers. This is poor design. But I noticed that and I thought it was interesting. And I wanted to share just to kind of spark a conversation in the OSR space that I'm in most of the time. We put a lot of attention into not drawing things out. Let's make it quick and short. And hey, use reactions so that you can avoid a bunch of combat. Use morale to cut down combats early. Really narrow down this combat to this really as slim and trim as it can possibly be while still having it in there. They're going in a whole other direction. No. If you have 8 goblins, it's okay to run it down to 1 goblin because you're going to be building a Malice this whole time, which means that you're going to be able to pull off some really cool move with that 1 goblin left, which means that you're going to want to stick it out. Is it going to turn it into too much of an adversarial thing? Is it going to turn it into too many times when there's 1 or 2 of a thing left and nobody's willing to just give it up or ask for surrender or do something because everyone's trying to earn these currencies to then spend those currencies? I don't know. I'm going to be interested. You let me know what you think. That's all I've got. Game on. Talk to you later. Bye now.